Namaskar children. We have finished off with the chapter light, reflection and refraction. And today we are going to start with the next chapter, that is human eye and the colorful world. We will today learn the structure of the human eye and the functions of the various parts of the human eye. So let us understand the structure of the human eye, which is roughly spherical in shape, and it has a diameter of approximately 2.3 centimeter to 2.5 centimeter in case of adults. The front bulge of the eye is known as the cornea. It is this part from where the light enters the eye, and maximum bending takes place here. Remember, maximum refraction takes place at this surface, the cornea. After cornea is placed the iris, which is a dark muscular diaphragm that gives color to the eye. So this is iris. It's a dark muscular diaphragm which gives color to the eye. Also, there is a hole present inside iris. This is known as the pupil, and from pupil the light enters inside the eye. The first surface where light strikes is the cornea. Maximum bending takes place here. Then placed is this dark muscular diaphragm called iris. It's a circular diaphragm, and in the center there is this hole which is known as the pupil. So light will enter inside this portion of the eye through pupil. So iris and pupil work in coordination to control the amount of light entering the eye. Now in between the cornea and the iris is a watery fluid, obviously it is transparent, known as aqueous humor. This is here for nutrition of the tissues present here, as well as to support the shape of this eyeball. So there is this fluid called aqueous humor. After the iris is the crystalline lens or the converging lens. It is made up of jelly-like material, proteinous material, and this lens is held in its position through these muscles here called as ciliary muscles. So these muscles are known as ciliary muscles. You have been introduced to this term in class 8th when you had drawn the diagram of the human eye. Within this region, that is between the lens and the back part of the eye, where we have a photosensitive film called the retina. This is the photosensitive layer on which the images of the objects that we are viewing is formed. To be specific, real inverted images are formed here. And within this space between the lens and the retina is again a transparent watery fluid present, which is known as the vitreous humor. Again, the function of this particular transparent fluid is for supporting the shape of the eye and for giving nourishment or nutrition to the tissues present here. On the retina are millions of photosensitive cells which take the signal to the brain via the optic nerve. All these millions of photosensitive cells that I am referring to, their nerve endings are collectively going as a bunch to the brain through this optic nerve. The junction where all these nerve endings are going to the brain, this junction where there is no photosensitive film, no nerve ending is there, this junction is known as the blind spot. If any light ray falls on this spot, it won't be interpreted by us. We won't be able to see that. The brain will not be able to interpret because there are no light sensitive cells here. This is the junction where all these nerve endings are going to the brain as a bunch in the form of optic nerve. So this spot is known as blind spot. and the nerves here collectively are going to the brain in the form of optic nerve. I repeat, this is the front bulge of the eye, which is known as the cornea. Maximum bending takes place here. From the cornea, light passes through this transparent watery fluid called aqueous humor, which is here to provide nourishment to the tissues and supporting the shape of the eye. Then comes the dark muscular diaphragm called iris, which gives color to the eye. And in collaboration with this pupil, which is a hole in the iris, it controls the amount of light entering into the eye. Then comes the crystalline lens. It's a converging lens which is held in position with the help of these ciliary muscles. In between the lens and the retina, which is a photosensitive film where images are formed, is a fluid called the vitreous humor. Again, the function of the fluid is to provide nourishment to the tissues here and support the bulge of the eye. All the cells which are present on the retina, their nerve endings collectively go to the brain through the optic nerve. And here there are no light sensitive cells to see the light if it falls here. So this is the blind spot. So this is the simple diagram that we have drawn for the human eye with some of the important labelings. In some books you might find even more labelings, but these are the ones which are required for you from board point of view. So let us jot down the different parts of the human eye with their functions. The first one is the outermost layer called cornea. It's a transparent layer and most of the refraction of light rays occurs here. That is, maximum bending takes place at the cornea. Then comes the iris. It's a dark muscular diaphragm behind the cornea and this gives color to the eye. There is a small opening within iris called as pupil. Pupil regulates amount of light entering the eyes. So here you can see the labeled parts iris and pupil. Pupil is the small black dot which we see in our eyes. It's actually a small opening within the iris from where the light is entering in. So iris and pupil together work to regulate the amount of light entering the eye. When bright light falls on the eye, the iris expands and covers the pupil so that less amount of light enters the eye. Whereas when we enter a dim lit room, the size of the pupil increases and more light can enter the eye. Next is the crystalline lens, which is a convex lens or a converging lens. It is placed behind the pupil and it converges the light rays which fall on it and forms a real and inverted image on the retina, which is a screen at the back of the eye. Children, here you need to note that most of the refraction of light rays occurs at the outer surface of cornea, which I had already mentioned in the beginning. The crystalline lens provides the finer adjustment of focal length so that image is formed on the retina. This means that the cornea and the lens, along with the two fluids in the eye which we had labeled, aqueous humor and vitreous humor, all these work together to finally form a sharp real inverted image on the screen at the back of the eye called the retina. This note here is emphasizing that the crystalline lens is providing the additional adjustment. Most of the bending has already taken place at the cornea. Next, very important part of the eye are the ciliary muscles. They help in changing the shape of the lens, that is, they help the lens to focus, and also they keep the lens in position. Next is the retina, which is a photosensitive film on the back of the eye. A real and inverted image of the object which the eye is viewing is formed on the retina. The retina contains different light sensitive cells. These are known as the rods and the cones. These cells generate electrical signals and transfer them to brain via the optic nerve. We had labeled the optic nerve in the diagram. So these are the two types of cells we had mentioned. The cones, they are sensitive to bright light and they sense color, and rods are sensitive to dim light. The next topic that we are discussing is the power of accommodation. This is a very commonly asked question in the board exam as well, that what is meant by power of accommodation. It is the ability of the eye lens to change its focal length according to the position of the object. This change is done with the help of ciliary muscles. Let us try to understand this with the help of a diagrammatic representation here. You can see here on the left, the ciliary muscles are relaxed and the lens flattens or the lens becomes thin. This means the focal length of the lens has increased. Whereas on the right hand side, the ciliary muscles are contracted and the lens becomes thick, which means the focal length of the lens has decreased. So this is how the action of ciliary muscles helps changing the curvature and hence the focal length of the eye lens. When the eye has to view nearby object, the ciliary muscles contract and the eye lens becomes thick, which means the focal length of the eye lens decreases. Whereas when the eye has to view far away objects, the ciliary muscles relax and the eye lens becomes thin, which means the focal length of the eye lens increases. Now, before moving further in the chapter, we will be defining two important terms which we require for the coming topics. First is the near point of the eye. It is the minimum distance at which object can be seen most distinctly, that is clearly without strain. For a normal eye, this distance is 25 centimeter. Next is the far point of the eye. It is the farthest point up to which the eye can see objects clearly. For a normal eye, this is infinity. This means that a normal human eye can see objects clearly till infinity.